They called him the Silent King, Min-Jun Choi, the heir to the chillingly powerful Cheon-sa syndicate. He ruled the underworld of Seoul without ever speaking a word, and he had never heard a scream. For 30 years, his world was absolute silence. No music, no laughter, no pleas for mercy, just the cold, hard vibration of power. Doctors said it was a congenital defect. His family said it was a curse. But Nia Washington, a broke American expat working as his maid, was about to discover the truth. It wasn't a curse, it was a crime. On a rainy Tuesday, while dusting his study, Nia saw something in the boss's ear that no doctor had noticed in 3 decades. She reached out. She pulled it out. And for the first time in his life, the Silent King heard the world explode. But what he heard first wasn't a bird or the wind. It was the sound of a lie shattering. And the woman who broke the silence was about to become the most important and dangerous person in his life. Nia adjusted her apron, her hands trembling slightly. This was her last chance. She was far from home, a master's degree in art history that meant nothing in a foreign country where she didn't speak the language fluently. Her visa was expiring. Her bank account was empty. The agency said this job paid triple the normal rate. The catch? Absolute discretion. No eye contact. No sudden movements. She entered the penthouse suite of the Lot Tower. It was like a museum. Cold marble floors, sharp modern art, and walls of glass overlooking the Han River. It was quiet, not peaceful quiet, dead quiet. "Keep your head down," Mrs. Kim had hissed. Mr. Choi senses vibration. Do not stomp, do not drop things. He is sensitive. Nia moved into the master's study, and there he was, Min-Jun Choi. He was sitting at a massive mahogany desk, his back to the window. He was devastatingly handsome, sharp jawline, hair black as ink, wearing a suit that cost more than Nia's student loans. He was reading a document, his eyes scanning rapidly. He didn't look up when she entered. He didn't have to. Nia started dusting the bookshelves. She moved like a ghost. She needed this money. She couldn't mess up. She watched him from the corner of her eye. He was terrifyingly still. He didn't hum. He didn't tap his pen. He existed in a vacuum. She moved closer to the desk to clean the window ledge. The smell of him hit her, sandalwood and cold rain. He turned his head slightly to check a monitor, and that's when she saw it. The afternoon sun hit the side of his face. Nia froze. She stared at his right ear. Most people would see nothing, but Nia had a habit of noticing details. It's what made her a great artist. There, deep in the ear canal, was something dark. Not a shadow, something solid. It looked like wax, impacted ancient wax, the kind that turns black and hard like a stone. She stared. How could a billionaire not clean his ears? But it looked deeper than that. It looked like a plug. Min-Jun must have felt her gaze. He spun his chair around. His eyes locked onto hers. They were gray, cold, and lethal. Nia gasped. She had broken the rule. No eye contact. She should have looked away. She should have bowed and run. But she didn't. She stared at his ear, then at his eyes. She raised a trembling hand. Min-Jun watched the new maid. She was different. The others were terrified of him. They looked at the floor. This woman, Naya, the file said, was looking at him with confusion. No, she was looking at his ear. She took a step closer. Min-Jun's hand drifted toward the knife concealed under his desk. Is she an assassin? But her hands were empty. She wasn't reaching for a weapon. She was reaching for him. "Sir?" she whispered. He saw her lips move. "Sir." He didn't react. He never reacted to sound. She gestured to his ear. She frowned. She mimed pulling something out. Min-Jun narrowed his eyes. What is she doing? She reached into her apron pocket and pulled out a small pair of cosmetic tweezers she had found in the bathroom while cleaning. Min-Jun stiffened. A weapon. He prepared to strike her, to break her wrist, but she moved slowly, deliberately, showing him the tweezers. She pointed to his ear again. Her face was pleading. "Trust me." Min-Jun didn't know why he didn't call security. Maybe it was the boredom of a silent life. Maybe it was the strange warmth in her brown eyes. He stayed still. He tilted his head. "Go ahead. Make a mistake." Naya's heart hammered against her ribs. What am I doing? I'm going to get deported or killed. But the artist in her couldn't stand the imperfection. The blockage was right there. She stepped into his personal space. She smelled the expensive fabric of his suit. "Hold still," she whispered, knowing he couldn't hear her. She braced her hand against his high cheekbone to steady herself. Min-Jun flinched at the touch. Her skin was warm, soft. She inserted the tweezers. Min-Jun gripped the armrests of his chair. He felt the cold metal enter his ear canal. It felt deep, too deep. Naya bit her lip. She clamped the tweezers around the black mass. It was hard. "Got you," she muttered. She pulled. There was a wet, sucking sensation. Min-Jun gasped. A sharp pressure popped in his head. Naya pulled the tweezers out. Clamped in the metal tips was a plug of hardened black wax. It was the size of a marble. It was ancient. "Oh my God," Naya whispered, staring at the gross object. "How did you even—" And then it happened. Whoosh! It hit Min-Jun like a physical blow. Sound. The air conditioning vent above him, a low mechanical hum he had never known existed. The traffic far below on the street, a distant, chaotic roar. The clock on the wall, tick, tock, tick, tock. Min-Jun slammed his hands over his ears. His eyes went wide, white showing all around the irises. His mouth opened and a sound tore out of his throat. "Ah!" He froze. He heard that. He heard the rough, guttural noise that had just come from his own body. He scrambled back, his chair rolling across the marble floor with a deafening clatter. Clack, clack, clack. Every noise was a gunshot. "Sir?" Naya dropped the tweezers. Clink. Min-Jun stared at the metal tool hitting the floor. He heard the high-pitched ring. He looked at Naya. He pointed at her. His hand was shaking uncontrollably. "You," he rasped. His voice was strange, unused, gravelly, but it was there. He heard his own voice reverberate inside his skull. Naya covered her mouth. You can hear?" Min-Jun stared at her lips moving, but this time the movement came with a sound. "You can hear?" A melody, a soft, terrified melody. Her voice. He stood up, stumbling. The friction of his suit pants rustling sounded like sandpaper. He grabbed a crystal glass from his desk and threw it against the wall. Smash! The explosion of glass was the most beautiful, terrifying thing he had ever experienced. He fell to his knees, overwhelmed, tears streaming down his face. The sensory overload was crushing him. 30 years of silence, gone in 30 seconds. Naya rushed to him. She didn't know what to do. She knelt beside him. "It's okay," she soothed, putting a hand on his shoulder. "Breathe. Just breathe." Min-Jun looked at her. He focused on the sound coming from her throat. "Talk," he commanded. The word was broken, slurred, but intelligible. "Talk again." Naya's eyes filled with tears. "My name is Naya. I'm your maid. I saw something in your ear." Min-Jun closed his eyes, letting the sound of her voice wash over him like water in a desert. Naya. It was the first name he had ever heard. The shock lasted for an hour. The realization lasted a lifetime. Min-Jun sat in the center of the room, just listening. listening to the rain hit the window, listening to Naya breathing. But as the wonder faded, the ice returned to Min-Jun's veins. He picked up the black plug from the desk where Naya had placed it. He rolled it in his fingers. This wasn't just wax. It was deep, impacted. And he had seen the best doctors in the world, specialists in Switzerland, surgeons in Tokyo. Dr. Park, the family physician for 25 years. Min-Jun looked at Naya. His voice was getting stronger, colder. My doctors, they checked my ears every month. Naya shook her head. Sir, there is no way a doctor missed that. That thing has been there since you were a child. It was practically fossilized. Min-Jun's face went dark. The silent king was silent no more. If the doctors saw it and didn't remove it, then they were told not to. They were paid not to. Phone, Min-Jun ordered. Naya handed him his cell. He dialed Dr. Park. He put it on speaker. Ring, ring. Mr. Choi? The doctor's voice came through the speaker. Min-Jun flinched. He had never heard the man's voice before. It sounded oily, nervous. Dr. Park, Min-Jun said. Silence on the other end. Mr. Choi, you are speaking? I am hearing, Min-Jun growled. I am coming to you, do not leave. He hung up. He turned to Naya. You, come with me. You are my ears now. The drive to the clinic was filled with new sounds, the engine roaring, the tires on wet pavement. Min-Jun didn't speak. He was calibrating, learning to filter the noise. They stormed into Dr. Park's private clinic. The receptionist gasped, but Min-Jun marched past her, Naya in her maid uniform, looking out of place but determined. Dr. Park was packing a bag in his office. He looked up, terrified. Min-Jun, I can explain. Min-Jun didn't ask questions. He walked up to the doctor and backhanded him across the face. Crack! The sound echoed satisfyingly. 30 years, Min-Jun whispered. Who? I couldn't, Dr. Park stammered, cowering against his desk. They threatened me. They said if I fixed it, they would kill my family. Who? Min-Jun roared. His voice cracked, unused to the volume, but the rage carried it. Your uncle, Hyun-woo. Dr. Park sobbed. He wanted the empire. He said a deaf leader is weak. A deaf leader relies on others. He wanted you dependent. He wanted to be your voice. Min-Jun stood frozen. His uncle Hyun-woo, the man who interpreted for him in meetings, the man who helped him run the business, the man who translated the whispers of his enemies. He had been filtering everything, changing the words, controlling the king. Min-Jun looked at Naya. She looked horrified. He stole your life, she whispered. Min-Jun turned back to the doctor. You kept me in a cage of silence. Now you will never speak again. He nodded to his bodyguards who had just arrived. They dragged the screaming doctor away. Min-Jun looked at Naya. The noise of the screaming was unpleasant. He flinched. Naya stepped closer and placed her hands over his ears, dampening the sound. He looked at her. In the chaos, she was the only quiet thing, the only truth. That night, the purge began. Min-Jun didn't need an interpreter anymore. He walked into the family meeting where Uncle Hyun-woo sat at the head of the table. Hyun-woo smiled, signing with his hands. Welcome, nephew. Sit. Min-Jun didn't sit. He stood at the end of the table. Get out of my chair, Min-Jun said aloud in perfect, cold Korean. Hyun-woo turned pale. The glass of wine dropped from his hand. Shatter. You can speak? I can hear, Min-Jun corrected. I heard you laughing at me for years. I heard the lies you told the doctors. The guards moved in. Hyun-woo was dragged out, begging for mercy, begging in a voice Min-Jun could finally hear and finally ignore. Later, on the balcony of the penthouse, the city lights of Seoul stretched out below. It was noisy. Sirens, wind, life. Min-Jun leaned on the railing. It was too much. His head hurt. Naya stepped out. She held 2 mugs of tea. She set them down. It's loud, isn't it? She asked softly. It is chaos, Min-Jun admitted. I almost miss the silence. You can still have silence, Naya said, but now it's your choice. Min-Jun turned to her. Why did you do it? He asked. You could have ignored it. You could have kept your job and stayed safe. I don't like seeing things that are broken when they can be fixed. Artists have it. Min-Jun reached out. He touched her face. He ran his thumb over her lips. You are the first thing I heard. Your voice, it is my favorite sound. Naya blushed, looking down. It's just a voice. No, Min-Jun said. It is the sound of my freedom. He leaned in. He didn't kiss her, not yet. He just pressed his forehead against hers. Stay. Don't be a maid. Be my eyes. Be my ears. Be mine. Naya looked at the city, then at the man who had been a king in a cage. I'm expensive, she joked weakly. Min-Jun laughed, a rusty, rough, beautiful sound. I own the city, he said. I can afford you.